Hello everybody, I hope you can hear it. So let's start with today. So welcome to Learn Kotlin with Team MAST. So today's topic is control flows. This is the second live lecture and we will talk about control flow statements today. Again, thank you very much for joining this class. If you have any questions about yesterday's class, please ask them straight away in the chat and we will proceed to the class after that only. Also, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel as this is a free course. So the least you could do for me is to like then subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Once again, the way this live video class works is that if you have any questions during the class, please comment in the live chat box and I will resolve your queries. Please check your email. Everyone, you will have received an invitation to Google Jamboard, which I will be using to explain some things graphically. If you haven't received the mail, please check the Google Jamboard link in the description of this video. Thank you. So let's begin and see if anybody has doubts from yesterday's class. Okay, so let's begin. So today we'll be talking about control flow statements. So the first control flow statements, so basically you can see in the comments above, this is the contents for today. So the first will be if statement and the if expression. So second thing will be the when expression, the for loop, while loop, do while loop, break and continue statements. So everything is quite similar from C-like languages like Java. You must have already seen that, but there are a few things which are different in Kotlin than Java, and there are some advantages which we will talk about today. So let's begin by running this program. There's a basic println statement here which says learning control flow in Kotlin. All right, so everything's working fine. The code is compiling. And again, if you want to download the IDE which I'm using, so I'm using Intellij IDE. I will put the download link in the description below from where you can go and download it. Otherwise, you can just search Intellij IDE Community Edition. So that should work for you. All right, so let's begin with control flow statements. So basically, let's create two variables. Number 1 equals to 10 and number 2 equals to 20. All right, so now we have to find which is the maximum out of these two. So we create a mutable variable maximum and then write max equals to num1. Now we write the if condition if if number 1 is greater than number 2. In that case, we will say max is equals to number 1. Otherwise, in the else case, we'll say that max is equals to number 2. All right, so let's see. And in Java, if is basically a statement. So in Java, if is a statement. However, in Kotlin, if is an expression, which means that in Java, you will not get any result back from this if statement, but in Kotlin you will have a result from this if statement. So we can see it like this. I'll write this expression again. If num1 is greater than num2, in that case the maximum value will be number 1, else it will be number 2. So let's run this program by printing these values out. Max is maximum value, and we can print the maximum value here as well. So let's run this program. So the max value is 20. So we used if as a statement here, and here we used if as an expression. All right. All right. Thank you, Kapil Gaba. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them here in the chat box, and we will resolve them. All right. So, in case you have missed previous class, I can go ahead and do a rundown session for you. I can basically explain what we did in the previous class. So we didn't do much, but it's good for a beginning. Like, we created some variables, mutable and immutable types. We printed those values. We created floating type variables and printed the values. And then we did some typecasting from float to integer. And we also did a conversion from character to integer. And in Java, we use instance of operator, but in Kotlin, we use the is keyword. So they are both doing the same thing. So here's an example of is keyword. To check whether this variable is a Boolean type or not, so we write this expression and use the is keyword here to evaluate that. And the same is the thing for this variable over here, a. So we're checking whether it is a character type variable or not. All right, so this is the way how to create a string. And then we can use the string interpolation property here to join these two strings into a single string and assign it to a new variable. And we are printing the new variable here. So, and then we went on to writing substrings. And then this is the way you find out the substrings. So there are a bunch of methods, feel free to explore them. And this is the way to create an array. It's a multi-type array, but if you want to create a single type array, then you can use this return type, or basically the data type, specifically saying it to be an integer type array. So this will be an array of integers. And we are printing the array like this using a for loop. And we have a bunch of operators and methods on this array, like printing the size, the first element, the last element of the array, and finding the index of a particular value in an array and the last index of the value in the array. And then we went on to see some advantages of Kotlin and how the Kotlin compilation works. And yeah, so at the last we had a look about different ranges. We can reverse easily, we can create a range easily from numbers from 1 to 10, and then we can create a reverse range by using down to, and we can also step through the ranges by, let's say we have to print this series, we can step through by using the step here. All right, so in nutshell, this was what we had done in the last video. Let's see. Okay, so let's continue our class on control flow statements. So here we saw if as an expression and as a statement. All right, so however, if you are using if as an expression, it is required to have an else branch, which means that I cannot miss this else branch here. So I will get an error from the Kotlin compiler which says type dispatch required int found unit. So the error here is that we have to have the else branch here, otherwise this will not work. So if you're using if as an expression, then it is required to have an else branch in this case. All right, so let's move forward to the when expression. When expression, and let me check out if anybody of you has any questions till now or not. Let's check. All right, so no questions till now. We are going okay. All right, so let's jump back to the Intellij IDE and start with the and continue with the course. So here we have when expression. So we can use when as an expression and when as a statement as well. So basically when expression is the replacement of the switch operator of C type languages. And now let's look at the code. As a replacement of switch from C type languages. All right, so let's look at the code here. So let's create a value vowel equals to a, and then I will say when vowel, and then I can type here if it is a or e or I or o or u. In that case, print that let me rename it to something different. Let's say my character. Okay, so here we'll print my character is a vowel. Otherwise, if it is not a vowel, we'll type in the else condition, and then we'll type here that it is not a vowel. Okay, so let's run this program. All right, my char is a vowel. Let's change it to capital Z and run this program. So my char is not a vowel. So you can see that when expression can be used as a statement or as an expression. So here we are using when as a statement. All right, and you can use when as an expression here like this. So an expression means that it will return some kind of a value which can be stored in a variable. So let's take an example here. Well, let's say v is equal to when, and you can give it some value, let's say 1. And now you can type in if the value is 0, I will say it is 0. If the value is 1, I will say that the value is 1. Otherwise, I will say that the value is not 1 or 0. Okay, so we're getting some kind of an error here. So let's see what it says. Unexpected token use semicolon to separate expressions on the same line. So we can create a bracket here to separate the expressions. Okay, I guess we need to use a variable here. We can pass in some value x. 0. Okay. Okay, let's take this example a little bit in a different manner. When we can say x, and we can give some value to x equals to, let's say, 10, and if x is odd value, then do something. Println, you can say the value of x is odd, and otherwise if x is even, we'll print that the value of x is even. So instead of using a constant here, you can also use a method. So let's go ahead and define these methods. So here, this is nothing fancy, but just an extension function. We will look at it in the next class, but for now, we're just creating a function here. So return if this 2 is equal to 0, then return true, else false. Sorry, it will be opposite if it is. All right. Okay. So if it is divisible by 2, in that case the number is odd, otherwise it is true. Okay. So we can create a method for is even as well, but we don't need it. So what we'll do is we'll use the same function is odd and add a negation operator here, that like this. Okay, so we can't use that operator on extension function. So let's create another method, even is even. All right, if this is not equals to 0. All right, let's run this program. We're getting a bit of suggestion, redundant if statement. We can remove this, remove the if statement. Okay. Oh, so we have to write is even here, sorry. So that is why it was not running. I was getting confused. What's the issue? So there is some kind of a error here. Let's see. Nope, there's no error. Okay. Show this to run. Oops. I'm not sure what's going on right now, so I'm not able to figure it out. So let's check it for now. So the important thing here to note is that we also need else expression if we are using the when statement as an expression. But in case we are using the when as a statement, we don't need it. So neither even nor odd. Let's run this. So I think it's going to the else part right now. Okay, so for some reasons our methods are not getting executed, so we can have a look at it later. Let's leave it for now, or we can just go ahead and check even or odd. You can create a method here, check even or odd. Or check odd method and a check even method. Alright, so let's create this method here, check even, and let's create this method here, check odd. Right, so this will return, oh sorry, the issue is that I was returning any here. Instead of this I should return a boolean, so that was the problem why I was not getting the result. Alright, I somehow totally missed that. X dot is odd and X dot is even. So now what's the problem? Boolean and int. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so whatever value we will pass here, that value will be used. So let's ignore this for now. All right. Okay. So you can write here when x and then pass a value. Well, x is equals to 0 and so 0 when x is 0. So just be a little patient, guys. I know it's getting really hard, so it's okay. I'm also trying hard to explain you things. Okay, so here x is 0 and 1 is print x is 1. Let's run this program. Okay, alright, x is 0. So this is the way you can use the when expressions. So you can use the when expressions as branch conditions instead of constants. And let's jump on to the for loops. Alright, so the basic syntax for a for loop is that you have an item and use the in keyword, and then there goes your collection. It can be array or whatever, and then you can have the body of the for method. So it works like the for each method of in Java. So let's try it here. For x in 1 to 10, we will print all the values of x by a comma separated value. Use a dollar symbol and then a comma. Alright, let's run this. So the for loop will iterate through anything that is provided with an iterator, but if the iterator method is not provided in the class, then it will not run. The for loop will not run for that. So let's take the example like this. So I create a variable of array equals to 1 to 10, and now I am trying to print the contents of this array. Since this is a type of an integer, it will run perfectly fine. It will not have any problem because it has an iterator method. So this will run just fine. It will print from 1 to 10, but in case I change it from an integer to a string, in that case this will not run properly. So Kotlin compiler is also giving me an error here that the for loop range must have an iterator method. So the string class does not have this iterator, but the integer class has it. So that is the reason we are able to run this for loop and we are not able to run this for loop here. Okay, so this is an example and I'll comment it for now, which you can use in future. Run or give a compilation error as string class does not have an iterator. Okay, all right, let's move forward. So we can also run a for loop through the indices for an array. Let's create an array here and define an array of 1, 2, 3, and then give some string values here as well. So let's run through the items for this array. I will type in x in my array dot indices. So let's print out the values for this array. It will be using the dollar symbol x, and then using comma is separating the values, and write in here that my array is this. Let's run this program. Alright, so here is my array. So these are basically the indexes. Sorry, I printed wrong. So I printed indexes. So you can print the values of the array like this by using the expression. Let's run this program. So this is basically iterating through the indexes of the array and printing the values for the array. So let's jump on to the while loop. So it's pretty simple and similar to what you have been seeing in Java or C. It is exactly same, so there is no difference here. While x is less than equals to 10, I can go and print some values. X is equals to the dollar symbol x and increasing the value of x after the operation is done by using the, so we already have a variable as x, I guess. So let's create a variable with y. Alright, so let's run this program. Oh, we need to change it to y here and to y here, sorry. Okay. Alright, so we are printing the values of y from 1 to 10 using the while loop. So just ignore these functions as of now. We'll look at these in the next class in the extension functions. So we'll have a look at that. So don't worry about it. And similarly, we can also write a do while loop. Nothing fancy here. We have the body first, and then we have the condition statement while. So let's print the value of y and we can change the value of y from here to 10 and then decrease the value of y until y is less than equals to 0. Let's run this. So until y is greater than equals to 0. So this is a do while loop. Alright, so with the do while loop, we can print it like this. It's nothing fancy, basic simple program. Okay, so one thing to remember is that we can also use ranges with the for loop. So let's see one more thing, way how to use ranges with a for loop. So here what I'm trying to do is, so print the values from 1 to 10, sorry, from 0 to 10 using the in keyword here. Print I is equals to I. Right. So let's run this. This is for using the ranges. And what we can do is we can also use until here. So now 10 will not be included. We'll get the print from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9. So 10 is not inclusive here. So you can use the until keyword here. So we are printing here till 9 by using until. So you can use that. And another one of the advantages which we were discussing yesterday of Kotlin over Java is nullability. So we can add one more point here, nullability. So that's also one of the important advantages of Kotlin. So let's look at that. So let me create a variable here, number equals to 10. And now this number is assigned as 10. And here, let's say I'm performing some operations on this number. But let's say if I assign this variable as null in future. So what will happen? The print statement which I'm writing here will not work. But you can see that even before printing the statement, I'm not able to assign this number as a value of null. I cannot assign it. So this is one of the advantages, which is that Kotlin is null safe. So which is the null safety feature of Kotlin. So if I want to assign this variable as number as the value 10, I can use this operator and then as an integer which can be null, and then if I want to assign the value as null, I can do it as well, because now the Kotlin compiler knows that this integer type variable can be null. So this is the way, by appending the question mark symbol after the data type, you will tell the Kotlin compiler that you are actually telling the compiler that this variable can be null in future. So here, okay, so let's run this program and let's see what happens. So you can see the value null is printable here. But if I remove this question mark, I won't be able to assign null value to this number. It goes by default that all the variables declared are cannot be null. If you want a specific variable to be null, you have to use this operator and tell the compiler that this value can be null in future. So this is another way that Kotlin compiler tells you at compile time that and helps you not make those mistakes which will crash your program. So let's look at a break statement here. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, just like C, C++, and Java. So for x in 1 to 10, println all the values. However, if x is equals to, let's say, 7, in that case, break out of the loop. So it means that as soon as the value of x is 7, the control will come out of the loop, and now this loop is as good as finished and dead. So no further execution will happen. So let's run this program, and it will stop at 6, because as soon as the value is 7, we are breaking out of it. So we are not printing the 7th value, and we are not printing the values up to 10. And there is something similar with continue, but it's a little bit different concept. So let's use the same program here. So in here, by using continue statement, I am telling the compiler that if the value of x is 7, then do not execute any of the following lines written in this for loop and directly jump on back to the condition. So here the value 7 will not be printed, but all the other values will be printed. And then continue statement. Let's run this. Alright, so here you can see in the continue statement, the value 7 is not printed, but all the other values are printed. So let's take a jump and see if anybody has any questions. Hi Zupinder, that's okay. Can we declare array without using array of keyword? Yes, you can do that, Kapil. So we'll just have a look how to do that. So I can declare array. So that is basically one of the main advantages how to create an array in Kotlin. So let's try to see what other options we have. You have array list of method, you have array of, and you have a boolean array of if you want to create an array with boolean type, and you have a bunch of methods which you can create an array of. Like this array will only contain integer types, int array of, like that. So you have a whole range of methods to create array of. So that is basically a functionality how to create an array. So in Java, what we used to do is that we create an array like this, like integer array, and then type in a whole range of values like 1, 2, 3. So instead of that, in Kotlin, what you do is you type in variable array is equals to array of. So here you have a lot of features, like you want it to be an empty array, you want it to be only a boolean type array, and you want it to be any array of a specific type. Then you can do like this, 1, 2, 3, and then declare the array type like this. Alright, I hope Kapil this is answering your question. Okay, so here we are, and okay, so let's come to this point where I have some code from Java, which is basically an switch statement. So here we have multiple cases, and it is printing some value, like if the value is 1, it's Monday, Tuesday, and goes on till 7. And this is the basic Java code. So let me copy this code and paste it over here, and let's see what happens. All right. Let's create a function, my function, paste the code here. Okay, so I guess for some reason the Kotlin's automatic conversion of Java to Kotlin is not working. Otherwise, this piece of code will automatically be converted from Java to Kotlin. That's one of the features of Intellij IDE, and for some reason it is not working in a demo. So that's absolutely okay. All right, so let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, but you declared that using array of. So, okay, so you mean you need a different way of creating an array? So what you can do is array other than array of. So you can do, well, my array is equals to array, you can use this class. Let's say type integer, and hey, sorry, this type. For this, you will have to use Lambda function. You'll have to create Lambda function for that. What I'll do is I will type here. Let's say I'll try to create some values of square. So I'll use 3 numbers, and then I will try to add them. Let's see what happens here. So here we get the argument, and 10, and 2. Just try to create a lambda here. Okay, this has to be the fixed size here, and I was trying something missing here. Okay, so we already have this my array. I will call this square array. Alright, so I think this should work. So let's see what suggestion is Kotlin compiler giving. Lambda argument should be moved out of parentheses. So let's do that. Move lambda argument out of parentheses. So this is the way we can create an array, and we don't need this because the Kotlin compiler already knows using the smartcast that this is a type of integer because we're giving the size value here and then using the value. So let's try to initialize this array. Print n, new way of declaring array. You can say square array. Let's try to pass in some value here too. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's run this. So alright, so we can't print this array like this. Sorry, we need to write a for loop for x in square array. Okay, let's try this. What happens? So I've never tried this thing before, but I'm just trying to do it on the go. Let's see. Okay, alright, sorry. Dot. Let's try to set the value for the index 0. We'll set the value as 1, and let's see if this works. Because here this is basically the declaration and it's not the assignment of values. Okay. Alright, we're setting the value as 1, and let's try to print this value like this. Instead of using a for loop, let's directly print the value. A bit of a struggle here, but I hope this works. Alright, okay, so this works. So yeah, so this is the way you can declare an array. Maybe let me try to use the for loop here. and use the indices for so this is something new. I'm just trying out of curiosity. X in square array dot indices, and let's pass on the index here and let's see what happens. Okay, all right, so we managed to create an array which is basically the squares of the numbers of the index. So whatever value we are passing, whatever is the index of the value, that is created as the square. The value of that index is going in the square. So we did something new today here. I didn't plan about this. So all the indexes are squared and stored in the array. All right. So I hope, Kapil, this is answering your question. Yesterday you iterated array with string variables as well, but you declared that using array of. My question is there, and any way to iterate the array of strings in Kotlin, like you said, there is no array iterator for strings variables in for loop. Yes, you can iterate the array of strings. Let's try to do that. So let's create an array here. var string array is equals to array of. So basically, if you want to work with strings, I would recommend to use a list. And okay, let's see what happens here. So we have given a string. Let's take A and B and C here. All right, so now let's try to use it using for loop for x in string array. Print the value of x with a comma and print statement here. I want to run this program before I write this print statement, but okay, let's just separate printing values of string using the for loop. All right, so let's run this. So printing the values of string using the for loop. So yeah, here we go. We can use the for loop to print the string values by using the array list of a string. So we don't even need the string here because the smartcast feature of Kotlin is telling that these are strings in itself. So you can write here ABC, XYZ, whatever the string is, it will print. So this is the way. I hope this is what you are asking. Okay, so here we are also getting a bit of a suggestion here that we are not changing the value of this string array variable, so we should change it to val, which is a very good suggestion, and you must keep looking out for these kind of suggestions from Kotlin, so that the Kotlin compiler, so that you can improve your code and make it better. So look out for these lines like condition is always false, like this kind of values, because our condition is pretty straightforward here. So it is known that the number 2 is greater than number 1, which Kotlin is telling us straight away. So we're just taking it for an example here, so that is fine. So basically this was the session today for the conditional control flow. We had a look at how to use if as a statement expression. There was a bit of a glitch while using the when as an expression here, but I'll definitely come back to you with an example of that. But otherwise you can use the when expression like this, and it's just a replacement of switch case where you can pass in some value and then the body for that, what should happen. Okay, and then we saw some for loop with the ranges, and we saw for loop, we saw the while loop, and we played around a bunch of a little bit with the arrays, how to print arrays. And then we had do while, continue, break statement, and here we had a bit of an experiment here. Totally, this was something new for me, and I learned something new here. So if you have learned something new, please comment in the comment section below. I'll be really happy. Please also tell about the advantages of using when in Kotlin over Java. So, okay. So in Kotlin, there are a bit of a lot of improvements over the code from Java. So this is a little bit of an experiment that you will also have to do it on your end. Like why exactly we have a when statement here instead of the usual switch case. And to be honest, I've never researched over it, but it is really easier to use when expression, because I was trying to show you that over here by converting this code from Java to Kotlin. So this is a code of, let's say, so many lines, and if I try to write the same code in Kotlin, it will be basically in a very few lines. So let's try to do that. So since IDE is not working for us, we will create it ourselves. So instead of using switch here, we'll use a when and the value day. So we'll remove all the cases, and instead of the colon, we have this. So we'll remove the break statement here. We don't need the break statement, and let's Control R. Wherever we use a case, replace it with an empty. Replace. Oh, okay, so replace. Sorry. Replace. Okay, cool. So we have deleted all the case and removing the Kotlin. This to replace, and then removing all the break statements. To sorry, break also has semicolon. Replace, and replace. All right, so this is basically Kotlin code now. We have reduced it so much. You can see that how short this code is becoming. So basically we are just deleting a lot of code here. We don't need a lot of code. So definitely I believe that there are a few optimization that has been done from switch case to a when statement, but definitely we'll have to research a little bit more of that. So I think we can all try to Google search here. So here's this one more thing, which is that here we are missing an else statement, so we can add that here. Sorry, that is basically it's expecting end of brackets. So we can add an else statement here, that not a day, not valid, input not valid. So look at this bunch of code and look at this bunch of code. It's taking a lot of lines of code, and I'm sure definitely when the number of lines is less, it will also help to compile your code faster. And when you have less lines over the time in your production code, that is also a good benefit. So I hope these benefits will do for now, but definitely I'll get back to you on the optimization side for what the benefit of using a when statement instead of a switch statement. So I think that is it for this video, guys. Wrapping up. So stay safe, stay at home. If you have any other questions, please comment and I'll be happy to respond. Until then, be must and keep rocking. I'll see you in the next video very soon. And please make sure that you subscribe to the channel Team MAST. Thank you so much.